Welcome back, everyone. Part two, day one of the Richie Hicks Jr. 2024 NFL mock draft. In round one, picks 1 through 16, we had an interesting trend where only three of the first 16 picks were defensive players. We saw quarterbacks go in a bit of a frenzy early on, and Zappy and I suspect that these picks, 17 through 32, the first crust of it, could heavily be influenced by offensive linemen. We will be back in just a moment, bringing you the goods on the second half of this show.
And welcome back, everybody. Wow, what a great point that Richie just made there. 13 offensive picks out of 16. It's been a very interesting first round, to say the least. I mean, we had a heavy run on quarterbacks in the first four picks. Then we saw a heavy run on wide receivers. And then we still see guys like Gerard Verse, he's still there. Troy Fautanu, he's still there. Lotu, UCLA, he's still there. But man, while I keep going about the guys that are still there, let me go ahead and start off with what has happened. All right, so we look at number one. We talked about possibilities that Chicago, would they trade back? No, they're not going to trade back. They went all in. Hey, who did they get? It's Caleb Williams. It's a guy you go all in for. Number two, Washington, sitting there thinking, all right, you have new ownership, new head coach. You traded away Sam Howell. You literally, it's a new regime all the way. What do? You get yourself a quarterback. You worry about the defense later. Dan Quinn knows what he's doing. Jaden Daniels. Number three, New England Patriots. We're talking about a team that could easily have been negotiating with Minnesota to get a guy like Justin Jefferson as well as multiple first-round picks. They decided to stay put. Drake May. Brett gets his wish. Number four, this is where things get interesting. We finally saw a trade happen. Richie, your New York Giants, they jump up and do what I said they should do. They take J.J. McCarthy at number four. Number five, the Chargers were enamored at the simple fact that four quarterbacks were taken before them. They were even more enamored by the simple fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. was still there. You look at Jim Harbaugh, what he brings to that team, it just made too much sense. Marvin Harrison, number five. Number six, Roma Dunze, Arizona, you lost Marvin. Why not go get another one that fits that system? I think there's two guys that fit it. And unfortunately, Malik Neighbors, I love you. I think you're a great talent. It doesn't fit there. Roma Dunze, you get drafted by Arizona. Tennessee was quite too easy. We already know what they need to do. They go get Joe Alt, solidify that offensive line. And then number eight, the Jets sit there and say, hey, wow, we see a guy dropping. Let's go ahead and trade up. Atlanta sat.
Gotta pause you just for a quick second. What's up, my guys? Thanks for bringing us the Red Eye Edition. Haha, that is funny. I like that.
Hey, Red Eye Edition or not, the draft's going to get good. It's gonna get good. Welcome along, Jen. So what did I leave off on?
We were entering into Brock Bowers territory and about to talk about Atlanta.
Okay, so yeah, so Atlanta was sitting there at number 8. They decide, hey, look, every defensive player we want is still available. They traded back. The Jets traded forward. Why not? Malik Neighbors is there. Number 9, Chicago said, hey, we can go OT, we can go defensive line, we can go linebacker, we can go so many different routes. We already got Caleb Williams. We got, let's see, Keenan Allen. We got DJ Moore. I said Darnell Mooney earlier, and I just realized that. But hey, let's go ahead and get Brock Bowers in there. Let's give him a good 2 tight end set. Number 10, Dallas Turner, Atlanta Falcons. They played that perfectly. Minnesota, they tried to move up. They stat put. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Michael Penix. Wow. He is now a Minnesota Viking.
And I actually made that pick, if I'm not mistaken. Did I? No. Who made that pick? I don't remember. But the point is,
you did.
Okay.
And then this is where things got interesting. Denver, they missed out on their quarterbacks. They could have taken Bo Nix. No, actually, I took Michael Penix. You took Terry.
Okay, that's right.
All right. You took Terry Arnold, which is a great pick, especially with the fact that they were waving Surtain around. Maybe they're still going to wave Surtain around to trade back into the first round. That's always a possibility. Bo Nix is dropping. Let's keep that in mind. They don't have the trade equity, but they have Surtain. Something to think about. Anyways, Raiders. We know they need all line help. They needed a lot of things. They took Olu Fashanu. Hey, they got him. Solidify that offensive line. The Saints, they could have gone quarterback. We know about Ryan Ramczyk. They go with Fuago out of Oregon State. Nasty player. The guy's got a mean punch too. They tried trading up. They really wanted Brock Bowers. They sat there and said, Anthony Richardson, you need more offense. You need more talent. They couldn't get any of the top receivers. They tried Brock Bowers. That didn't happen. What did they do? Let's go fix this defense and solidify it. Queion Mitchell and Seattle with, I thought, was a great pick. It was a trade. And it was there was no trade. It was just a straight up Richie pick. JC Latham. That was in my opinion, a lot of people have JC Latham as the top rated offensive lineman, especially offensive tackle in the draft. His athleticism cannot go unnoticed. This could put Seattle over the top. But no matter what, Jacksonville's on the clock, and they're sitting there saying, all right, cool. Terry Arnold, gone. Queion Mitchell, gone. Wide receiver, who's left? Do they take Brian Thomas right here? Or do they sit there and simply say, let's go ahead and get one of the best defensive linemen? You just paid Josh Allen $150 million. Like, what's the route you're going to do here, Rich? What are you going to do?
We are, my apologies, Zap. I lost you for a second with a little sound blip. Please repeat your last sentence if you don't mind. My apologies.
So, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're on the clock.
Thank you. Heard. Okay.
And, we know the Jaguars, they were enamored with 2 DBs, both gone, Queion Mitchell and Terry Arnold. We know the Jaguars need another wide receiver in that offense, something to help out a guy that, let's get this straight. Trevor Lawrence, you've had 3 years, and it's been this.
Mixed bag.
It's been a mixed bag, but it's been more of the same bag with a little bit of mixture. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So, obviously you want a wide receiver here. You can go a DB here. This team has so many needs. While just last year we were talking about the Jaguars being the premier team of the AFC South, and now it almost seems like they took a backseat not only to the Texans and the Colts, but to the Titans. What do you do here if you're the Jaguars?
There's a lot of things you could do. Me personally, I don't think this is the right pick, but I think it's the pick that they're going to make. That's my genuine opinion. Let's remember who their head coach is. I am going offense, surprise, surprise. And I am going Brian Thomas out of Louisiana
Oh,
State University. And they may have reached here a couple of picks ahead, but this is the way I think they go. With some uncertainty about future contracts of certain players um, that are currently on the roster, I think this is a way to get a hell of a talent under rookie control for the next years of the foreseeable future. I like the move. I made the pick, so I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. But I don't love it. But it's me thinking through the lens of what Jacksonville would do, and I believe that's what they would do.
and as a Cowboy fan, one of my favorite things to do was not favorite, but I became very accustomed to knowing my team was going to draft 16, 17, and we have established a lot of, Hall of Fame talent, possibly
For
all pros
sure.
for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah.
And when I look at the Jaguars and I look at the same thing, and I'm like, is Brian Thomas that guy? I mean, he could very well be that guy. I like that pick, man, because Jacksonville, I feel like now the fact that like their hand does not need to be pushed. Terry Arnold is gone. Queion Mitchell is gone. All right, well, your biggest need now, it's all about value. And what's more valuable here at the 17th pick? Is it receiver or cornerback? Yeah, it's definitely receiver. Brian Thomas, dude, I love the pick. I actually love that pick. And you know what you did? You know what you did? You
Mhm.
just pissed off Cincinnati.
Absolutely, because
But you didn't.
they have a contract dispute. I did Cincinnati a favor because now they can do something responsible, or at least I think they'll do something responsible. And I'm going to let you make this pick in addition to kind of finishing the sentence here. Why did I put them in a position to do something responsible where they may have made the skill position play?
Well, I like it. So all right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the next two picks.
Yeah, yeah, do that.
There's a strong reason behind that. I
Do
don't
that
want Pittsburgh's pick because there's going to be probably some personal bias that goes into that selection.
for sure.
Um, but I like what you did here with Cincinnati. You have put me into a position knowing that, all right, what do we need? Okay, yeah, we need a receiver, but no matter what, and especially now that T. Higgins has pretty much said, I'm going to be a Bengal this year. All right, Brian Thomas, Jacksonville taking him was actually a blessing in disguise for that team. You have T. Higgins, you have Jamar Chase. If T. Higgins goes out and balls out again this year on under the franchise tag, I mean, in my opinion, for that team, that is now a very valuable asset.
Yeah,
So,
I tend to agree.
you don't need to take receiver here. Hey man, Cincinnati, your second big, actually, bigger need for this year is not receiver because T. Higgins is under contract again. Byron Murphy just became a Cincinnati Bengal. Like, you look at that defense, you look at what Hendrickson has been doing, like give him a guy that's going to go out there and demand double teams
I
many
was hoping
times.
you were going to pick that guy. It's funny how we're like super like minded at this stage of the draft, but I legit wanted you to make that pick, and I was curious to see if you were going to do it.
Yeah, and it just makes too much sense, man. Like, look at this Bengals team. This Bengals team, while I expected them to take a big step back this past year, a lot of it had to do with because when you involve money into the offseason, it tends to carry over. We saw what happened with the Chargers, Justin Herbert, and all that. They paid their receivers. Like, that crap does follow your team. But when you think about what this team actually needs, their defense has hurt them more than their offense. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, he's a good quarterback. You have great receiving talent. You moved away from Joe Mixon. Like, obviously, you know that who you drafted last year at running back is a great replacement. Solidify that defense, man. You're in the AFC North. You have to. You have to solidify that defense, which takes me over to number 19, the Los Angeles Rams.
Does this start a trend? Now that you want DT, does this start a trend or do you go edge? The thing is, the Rams just lost an irreplaceable talent who called a career, in my opinion, at the right time before he regressed because it happens to the best of every player. We're talking about Aaron Donald. Do the Rams address that side of the football on that front line? I mean, when you look at what they have on offense, right? You got Kyron Williams, phenomenal young running back out of the University of Notre Dame. You've got Puka Nakua. You've got Cooper Kupp. You've got, I believe Higbee is still on the books there. Tight end could be a position of improvement, but it wouldn't be at this juncture of the draft. I think they go defense here. If I'm in thinking what you're thinking, and I could be wrong, I think I go defense here.
Yeah, and it's a pretty safe bet that this team is going to go defense. I mean, Kyron Williams, great running back, Cooper Kupp, Puka, Higbee, everything you said. And then, but you think of here, I'm going to throw 3 names at you: Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. Those are three critical players.
Bro, this is
from
hilarious.
their not too long ago removed
I was
Super Bowl
literally
team.
about to say that corner is another place you could go because anybody that's watched this team the year that they had probably the worst Super Bowl defense, not defense, I'm talking about defense of the title, since probably the Denver Broncos the year after Elway, won 2 in a row and didn't come back for a third attempt. Probably the worst defense. And then last year, overachieved in a lot of people's eyes in a year that they were not expected to do much. And they made the playoffs and lost to the Detroit Lions by only a single point. So this team is very close to getting back to elite status if they filter the right talent into this roster.
And this is where you set me up perfectly. The right talent for this roster. Aaron Donald has been there.
Hmm?
He retired.
Sure.
And you know what? Nothing against Aaron Donald. Probably the greatest DT, depending on how you look at it. I mean, the guy could rush a passer, stop the run, whatever the case may be. Jalen Ramsey, I think, was a very important part to that defense. But is there really a DB, a cornerback right here that you're going to take? No, there's not.
There's only one, and I still don't think it's the right one.
No, you're not. You're not taking.
I know where I'm going. If I'm you, I know exactly where I'm going.
Look, we saw them try with Leonard Floyd, and it was not it didn't work. Cornerback right now, it doesn't make sense. I want to take Johnny Newton, but I'm not going to.
He's not the pick.
I'm gonna take a guy that's already living there in LA. Laiatu Latu. Defensive end, in my opinion, he is the best pass rusher in this draft.
You really think so, top to bottom? That is the one?
Yeah. Yeah, he's you can make an argument about Gerard Verse. You can make an argument about what's his name? We just drafted him right now. Dallas Turner out of Alabama. But I think people are so enamored with Dallas Turner because of Will Anderson.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
And then when I look at a guy like Latu, yeah, UCLA has. I mean, you look at Tack McKinley. He was not a great edge rusher in the NFL. But I like Latu's motor. That dude works. I mean, he works hard. That guy has single-handedly changed the entire trajectory of ball games. That's how good of a defensive end he is. And when I look at what the Rams need and value, I think he presents the best value to need at that position, personally.
All good points. Truly, all good points. I'm going to be picking for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I might do a twofer and pick for the Dolphins as well. I'll start with Pittsburgh. This is a team that I don't know. 2 months ago, their quarterback room was incredibly naked. Now you add Justin Fields as well as two-time Super Bowl participant, one-time winner Russell Wilson. The plan is to kind of have Wilson go in as the starter. They are obviously going to compete. And the hope is that he holds off Fields for this year, maybe. Fields gets groomed in a better culture. And ultimately, Fields is your quarterback of the future. I think that is ultimately the plan. You also have a situation where Fields might just beat him out. And Russell isn't making any money this year. Well, at least not from the Steelers. He's still going to get a hefty lump sum of money from the Denver Broncos. Najee Harris, kind of getting back to form. This team could use a receiver, but I don't necessarily think this is the place to do it unless they trade it back. I also don't think they're trading back. This is a very physical division. This is a division where you need the right type of blocking schemes to earn every last freaking yard. This is the most violent division in professional football. And lately it's been the most exciting one as well. You know, you got some legitimate metrics here where the same team that a lot of experts pick first, other experts will pick last, and all of them are quality ball clubs. I'm going Christian Haynes out of UConn, offensive guard. I think he is potentially the best guard in this draft, best interior lineman in this draft. Some people might see it as a reach. I think it's something that's going to give Pittsburgh more answers towards their future.
And I really do hate that word reach, because the year we drafted Travis Frederick, we traded back with the 49ers, traded back to 31. And we took Travis Frederick, who was supposed to be a third
I
round pick
remember
at
that. Yep,
best.
I remember that.
And, like, it ended up turning out pretty good for Dallas. And the guy, I mean, his career was cut short. Unfortunate. The guy had a Hall of Fame career going. I like that pick. I actually do, because I'm thinking about Christian Haynes and that offense, and I had one guy in mind for them. I really did, and because I think about their past, their centers, the guys that they've had there, and I was like, man, this would be a perfect position for them to take center. But going Christian Haynes, I like it. I really do. And now, you circle around. Roquan Davis, gone. Christian Wilkins, gone. You have a quarterback that needs to get paid. He needs offensive line help. A guy that I thought would have been a sleeper pick for the Miami Dolphins was Brian Thomas. They need offensive line help more than anything, but they also need defensive tackle help, and they need a wide receiver help. Oh, I mean, they also did release Xavier Howard.
Yes, they did.
They need DB help. What are you gonna do right here? What are you gonna do right here? I love it.
Well, you have a plethora of options, but I'm not going to overthink this all that much. I'm going to give the defense some much needed love, but I'm going to keep it up front. And I am going Johnny Newton out of Illinois. Now, granted, this is a guy that on some people's boards will fall at around 2. I think for the Dolphins, it makes perfect sense right now. It also could have made sense to take a guy in that spot that is a receiver. But I think if you're going receiver there, you're reaching a little worse because I would understand if the Dolphins decided to go receiver there because of the sheer fact that um, Jalen Waddle's future is not all the way sewed up. Tyreek Hill has already made it clear that when he is done with the Dolphins, he's done with football. Um, I actually believe him. I don't think he's just talking to talk. And something that could be interesting on Thursday that nobody would see coming. Remember when the Green Bay Packers drafted Jordan Love and everybody was like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah, 100%.
They could go quarterback here. Because although Tua has been a friendly guy to start in fantasy, I do think there's some people in the Miami contingent that aren't convinced that Tua is going to be the guy that gets them to that championship level. But that's the pick for now.
And to piggyback off of what you were saying about Tua, this is a make or break year for Tua and a couple other guys. And at this point, defensively, offensively, when you look at what they lost as opposed to what they need defensive tackle help a lot. I mean, when you lost Christian Wilkins to the Raiders, you lost Jaquan Davis. I mean, two top-notch interior defensive linemen that now you're just going to leave that whole void. No, you don't do that. And, while Tua's going to be there trying to get payday too, I mean, you still have to see what Jalen Waddle presents to you. And when you think about the value right now, I mean, at this point, no way, in my opinion, if you can't trade back Miami, you're not going to take guys like Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Ward, Keon Coleman right here at 21. I mean, when you look at what's available as opposed to position and all that, Johnny Newton just makes way too much sense here at 21. I love it. I think it's a great pick. I really do. I mean, dude, you gotta fill one of your biggest holes, and that's it. And which leads us to number 22, the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh man, this
Oddly
pick.
enough, sorry to interrupt you, Zep. I see what I did wrong. I accidentally on my side forgot to put in Pittsburgh's pick, even though I picked for them. So just for the sake of not getting confused, I'll do the fake thing and put Christian Haynes on the Dolphins, and I'll just correct that when I have to correct it. Because I'm like, wait a minute, where did Johnny Newton go? I just picked him. Why can't I see him on the Dolphins? And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you threw me off. I was
because we did 2 and 2. Because for personal reasons, you didn't want to pick for the Steelers, and for personal reasons, not that you don't have personal reasons. I guess I just said, you know what? I'm not picking for these guys, so I didn't want to pick for the Eagles. My bad, Zap. Continue.
No, you're good. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this pick was going to be Daniels. I know other Eagles fans, and from what I've heard, from what I've seen, Queion Mitchell is a guy they really want. Will he be there? No, probably not. Is this a position where we know they need a linebacker? I don't think this is the linebacker position at all for the Eagles. Where it gets interesting is Cooper DeJean. I think he's a guy that could actually get drafted here. Well, I think he's got a better fit for a team later. I just
not to mention cornerback is a situation for Philadelphia that
lost you. You're disconnected.
Is a linebacker going to be drafted?
No, I had you again. All right. I lost you on the last part. You were talking about cornerback.
Yeah, cornerback is a position of emphasis here for the Eagles as well.
Yeah, no, it really is. And that's where I was getting at is Terrion Arnold, he's gone. Queion Mitchell, he's gone. But you know what? I mean, I'm obviously fan hat off. If I was picking for the Eagles, I would probably pick a kicker. and just be like, you guys are set for the next 15 years at kicker. But I'm not going to do that.
Long snapper.
Shit, 3 of them. When I look at this Eagles team, I already, while we were featured on NASA's show, I emphasized heavily how I think the Eagles should draft a receiver and trade AJ Brown, whether it be this year or next. But Thomas is no longer there.
Right.
Now the Eagles, they're not in a position to be able to reach because, as we know, Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat. So, fan hat off, this team needs to address certain positions for them to actually be taking over. Yeah, all right. They signed Saquon. It's
a move with the Jets where a pass rusher was moved. Oddly enough, they switched positions because it wasn't an official trade where a former Jet became a current Eagle. It wasn't a direct trade, but it worked out that way. So maybe you don't need an edge as much as it might be perceived. But personally, I always say you can never have enough pass rushers.
You can never have enough pass rushers, but I think secondary makes too much sense. Slay, big play Slay. No, he's definitely regressed. He's regressed. And James Bradbury, he regressed. There's only one way I could see the Eagles going right here, number 22. Hey, Daniel, if you're watching, if you do watch, fill me in. Let me know what you think about this pick. But because of how the draft board has fallen, I think Nate Wiggins, their cornerback out of Clemson, I think Nate Wiggins actually fits that team. I mean, you look at him, this dude, he's a tall cornerback. I think he's 6'1" or 6'2". The only thing is,
but it also says unofficial.
Well, one thing he needs to do is add a little bit of weight. He needs to add about 10, 15 pounds of muscle to be a lockdown corner. But
that's under 190.
Yeah. So that's the route I would go for Philly, and I'm going to go that route. Nate Wiggins. I mean, I think they want Queion Mitchell. I think they want DB. They locked up Devontae Smith. I mean, you're not taking running back here. You can go lineman, but I think they need to solidify that defense.
I actually like the pick. I hope they don't make this pick because I actually think that the Eagles' defense is not nearly as good as advertised or as assumed, because sometimes as fans, we get used to certain teams thriving on certain positions, and you can kind of overlook it. Philadelphia, in my opinion, has, how would I say this? They have extended their window to win a Super Bowl. But when I look at what's in the NFC, it's going to be a tall task. I will say this. The best year they're going to get of Saquon Barkley, more than likely, is going to be the first one. The one that he's coming into right now. We shall see. We shall see. Saquon's going to be behind the best offensive line he's ever, and that's even without future Hall of Famer Jason Kelce. But yeah, man, I like the pick, honestly. I like the pick. I do think that he fits their system, but make no mistake about it. If the Eagles flame out early in the playoffs, or if they miss the playoffs for some reason, or the thing is, this franchise quit on their coach last year. Undeniable. You can't get around that part. So I do believe that when you look at it from that lens, Nick Sirianni needs to reclaim his locker room, because character-defining stuff that is not so savory is essentially what went down in Philly. So we'll see if because it changes quick. Who's coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars now? That's Doug Peterson. That's a guy that won a Super Bowl for the Eagles. And after some of the controversy that surrounded the conclusion of the 2020 pandemic season, he was gone. And that's a guy that broke a generational hex. So nobody's safe. I think that's the point to take home. Nobody is officially safe. We've got at 23 the Minnesota Vikings, who in their previous pick that you picked for them went the route of quarterback, taking Michael Penix, who I believe is a legitimate, perfect fit for these guys. What's up, Zach? Sorry.
No, I was I realized I didn't. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good, bud. You know what? You know what I love about working with you? You actually care enough to make sure.
Yeah, well, you know, I had to make sure.
Accountability.
I mean, dude, Minnesota, you've got who? All right,
that is your team. I think this pick is way too easy. Way too easy. Can Minnesota screw this up? Of course they could.
Yeah, of course.
Way too easy. A player that they absolutely need. And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they recently lose Danielle Hunter?
Yeah, he's now a Houston Texan.
It's
and funny you say that. Number 23 belonged to the Houston Texans not too long ago. Remember, Minnesota did trade up.
Yes. This is too easy for me. And if the Vikings screw this up, then that's on them. Now, I know a lot of people will speculate, oh, why not get another receiver? Now you got a trio. Or maybe be the first team to take a tight end. Hawkinson's 100 years old, or at least football miles wise. No, sir.
Second team.
This is too easy. We are going to the University of Florida State University, Tallahassee. Minnesota Vikings select defensive end Jared Verse, a guy that when you really think that he dropped this far, because his skill set, honestly, is a top 10 talent on many draft seasons. It's just that this particular draft is so populated early on by all the QBs that a guy like this could fall all the way down. Now, granted, they could have one linebacker. That's another position of need, but I still feel that unless if you're like a Carl Banks or a Lawrence Taylor or a Harry Carson, I don't see any of those guys in this particular draft. Good linebackers could be had in round 2. And I am a huge fan of linebackers. I'm a Giants fan. Why wouldn't I be? But I like my pick here. I really do. And I hate the Minnesota Vikings, but I like the pick that I made for them.
Yeah, it's a good pick, man. And really, you look at the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, a lot of their successful years, especially at the pass rush, was under Mike Zimmer. And we look at guys like Danielle Hunter. He's no longer there. He's now a Texan. We look at what was, I forgot his number 97. He ended up being a Cowboy not about 2 years ago. He's gone. Well, pass rush was important.
Okay.
Cedric Griffin.
Yeah.
Or anyways, besides the point. Yeah, so you bring in a guy like Jared Verse into that defensive scheme. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But oh man. I am sitting here. I'm lost. I don't know which way to go anymore. I was under, that number 24, Dallas. Hey, look, I'll break it down for you. Like, we want O-line, we want linebackers, we need a running back. I mean, those are the 3 top positions, and I never anticipated. Oh, man.
Do back-to-back Florida State players go here? And does the first running back come off the board?
Nah, running back's not coming off for a while. If
there was one that was worthy of a first-round pick, he did attend FSU.
If there was one worthy of a first-round pick, it would be Xavier Worthy. Transitioning to running back. No,
You call
Um,
it a segue, kids, but no, that's not the pick either. I don't believe so, Zappy. I know what I would do if I was you guys. You lost a shit ton of offensive linemen. You got to go O line here. I think anyway. Your Cowboys got to go O line.
yeah, there's no question about it. Dallas, we lost Tyron Smith, starting left tackle, future Hall of Famer. He's gone now, a New York Jet. At center, we lost Tyler Biadasz. Guy had and he could very well still be. He probably will be. I mean, the guy had the opportunity, potential to be one of the top centers in not only the NFC but the NFL. He's gone now. Washington Commander. Dallas is looking at their draft board, sitting there saying, "Wow, we have a few guys staring us right in the face. We can go center. We can go tackle. We can go so many different routes here." Dallas, there's only one guy. Because of the simple fact that Dallas has so many holes on their offensive line, Graham Barden. Give me Graham Barden.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What did you think I was going to Fatanu?
To be honest with you, even though he wouldn't be a right away guy, I thought you were considering going Mims.
So, because of that statement you just said right there, right away guy is the exact reason why I go Barden. In my opinion, Dallas it's between two players. It's Powers Johnson and Barden.
All over the place. That is the appeal to him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I leaned his way. Amarius Mims is something that I talked about before, where I don't think he is a ready now player. And while Dallas, as Daniel talked about earlier, we didn't do anything in free agency. Super Bowls are not won in free agency. And one thing about Dallas, yeah, we do have a lot of tough decisions coming up. And I don't want Dallas to be the next Detroit Lions, where when you think about Detroit, they had Matthew Stafford, they had Calvin Johnson, they had Ndamukong Suh, three big name players they were paying. And I don't want Dallas to be there sitting there with Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons. But however, we want to run the ball again. You don't take running back. You have to take offensive line. You have to get a guy that can he's versatile enough to play all three positions. That's why Graham Barden, in my opinion.
You're going to laugh at what I just did. I accidentally restarted the draft room.
You didn't accidentally do it. No, I'm telling you didn't, because it happened to me too.
Oh, they might have kicked us out because we've been here since 2022.
It was more like 2020.
That's good, man. They've been drafting since 2022, but that's okay because I know what I'm doing with the next pick. I might need you to guide me here because I'm not reopening another room.
No, I already know where we're at.
Awesome. So just guide me here. I didn't do this on purpose, but it is kind of cool that I'm drafting for my late father's team. It was by total chance. I really didn't know that. That's kind of cool. And I have the pick in my mind immediately. We mentioned earlier.
Yep.
It's Cooper DeJean.
And dude, and really, I love that pick because when I look at Cooper, while he played cornerback, I think he's more of a true safety when it's all said and done. That's why I made the reference to Adam Archuleta. Like, the guy, first of all, he is a player. He's coming from Iowa. And when you think of Green Bay Packers defense, Iowa defense, it just they go hand in hand together, So that's why I like the pick. I think Cooper is ready made for that defense, honestly.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy him. Because the thing with him is that he could play safety, he could play corner, he could be kind of like a hybrid player, like you mentioned earlier in the show, an Adam Archuleta type. But now you're bringing him into a defense where you have Jair Alexander, who you don't know how reliable he's going to be. We know how great he is, but he gets hurt a lot, especially lately.
You brought in Xavier McKinney, former New York Giant, and now you bring in this kid. And on the other side of the ball, I don't think too many people are questioning how good you could be, or how good you might be. So, yeah, I think this is the most responsible pick that the Packers could have possibly made. And that's the way it goes. It goes here. We're coming up on the 15-minute mark, and we have 6 picks left. Or is it 7 technically? 20, we're up.
It's 6 picks left. And you look at this Buccaneers team. I think it's a very simple one with this Buccaneers team. I mean, damn. They want a Gerard Verse, he's gone. There's only one name that really I think this team needs. They spent an entire offseason bringing back their own. I like drinking this, especially with sugar.
Oh, yeah, I know which way you're going. Not a bad pick. I actually thought that he was going to get off the board just a little earlier. You're going to Alabama, sir.
Yes, sir. I am going to Alabama. And when I look at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, they are a DB away from being more solidified. And when you look at this division is up for grabs. So instead of reaching for talent, solidify what you already have.
Valid.
So Kool-Aid McKinstry, come on down, bud.
Good pick, bro. Good pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's the kind of player, not just one metric. I'm not even talking about the skill set. I'm also talking about that swag.
Yeah.
That kid would be perfect for that organization. They are historically, at least historically, since they changed their threads from those horrific creamsicles, that the defense has constantly been a backbone of this organization. And that will not change here. This is a team that won their 9th game, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs. What were they, 9-8 or 8-9? No, excuse me. They lost their 9th game of the season in the second round of the playoffs. And I said, geez, these guys were a couple of plays away from making the NFC title game, and they had 9 losses. That's what the 17th week does, soon to be 18 weeks. I'm still getting used to, 9 lost teams getting into the playoffs. And this is a division that normally welcomes that because recently this has been a rather mediocre division. When Tom Brady left, and when other faces left with him, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to kind of hit the bottom before they bounced back up. But the cool thing about it is they didn't miss the playoffs. And people will tell you it's not just because of the quarterback. But Baker Mayfield's Buccaneers were better than Tom Brady's Buccaneers if you're comparing the 2 seasons back to back. And that is kind of cool.
It really is. And
a lot of the NFL teams gave up on. We are coming up on the 12-minute mark. We're going to have to speed this up just a little.
No, it's all right. You know why? You know why it's all right? Because the Cardinals are on the clock. But hey, guess what? When you're sitting there at number 27, you have a lot of flexibility. You got your receiver of the future. What else do you need? Well, you need a defensive tackle, you need a cornerback, you need a guard, you need an edge rusher, but there's a team calling. Kansas City is on the clock. Kansas City knows Kansas City, they need to move up. They need to get ahead of Buffalo. They need to get ahead of Buffalo.
Regularly are is ahead of Buffalo.
And not to mention the simple fact that Rashee Rice is probably going to miss at least 6 games, probably 10 games, maybe the season. You need to go get a receiver. I think that Kansas City, it'd be in their best interest to try to go out there and get a guy like a Brandon Ayuk into that offense, go out there and get a guy like a T. Higgins if you can pull that trade. But right now, they traded up. they offered the right amount, and there's a certain wide receiver that is about to make Patrick Mahomes look like Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Adonai Mitchell
Yeah.
has been taken, and
Thing is, if they don't put it up, they might not get him.
yeah, and I was stuck between Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and an offensive lineman with that offense, but with the Rashee Rice news, you have to obviously go with what you need now, because now all of a sudden wide receiver became a huge need for this team that has the expectations, the aspirations to go and get 3 in a row. So go get Patrick Mahomes a weapon. We already know Patrick Mahomes under duress can get out of the pocket, can make things happen. So yeah, that's why I go that route.
He's via Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Chiefs. I gotta
No, sir, you are the Buffalo Bills.
No, I was typing in the pick you just made, and I accidentally
Oh,
put the Kansas City Chiefs via the Arizona Chiefs.
okay, you threw me off.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I used to play for the Elmont Cardinals many moons ago. All right. We are up to the Buffalo Bills. This comes down, in my opinion, to maybe 2 players, maybe 3, but probably 2. It's either Xavier Worthy or Keon Coleman. This is not as obvious as one would think, but I have a vibe that Buffalo is going to go with Worthy here. Back Texas players.
Wow. In my head, I was screaming Worthy. I was like, Worthy, Worthy, Worthy. And the only reason why I was screaming Worthy, because I was like, Dalton Kincaid,
Oh,
Dalton
David Kincaid's
Kincaid.
going to have a massive, massive year, especially with no Steph Diggs anymore. And I said this to Brett on the phone today. We spoke earlier today as well, or yesterday. And Brett feels that, I feel that Josh Allen is going to be possibly, this could be the best year of his career. Because a lot of times when you take away certain guys, you force quarterbacks to elevate their game to a level where they are distributing the ball to more places. Factor in the heartbreaks, factor in a couple of things. I think sometimes when you change faces and get younger, they obviously have to love the defense too, and they're going to have to do that in later rounds in this draft. But I believe that the Buffalo Bills story is not quite closed, although a lot of other people feel that way. I think the Buffalo Bills are primed for a bounce back year. And if the New York Jets have injuries at the quarterback position, watch out. And notice how it is from the Dolphins and the Patriots. Those are the 2 teams that are going to be fighting for the East this year. And it's way too early to say that, but it's the Bills and the Jets. I said it.
Yeah, and between the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins, Patriots. All right, Patriots, sorry. Let's just go ahead and remove them from the equation.
Yeah, you got it. They're not.
Yeah, and Dolphins, no. Yeah, when I look at those 2 teams, you're right. Like, I mean, you're absolutely right with the whole entire situation scenario you built out there. Like, I like it. I really do.
Now, sorry to interrupt you. We did talk about the Detroit Lions a little earlier ago. I don't remember if we were on air or off air when we said this. We talked a lot tonight, but I will say this. It goes without saying this team needs secondary help. We know what they can do on offense. It wouldn't kill them to get a pass rusher either, but I got the vibe that if I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm thinking about the secondary here.
Where are you going?
Where am I?
Where are you going with this?
Yeah, I'm going to do a twofer here. Kind of cheat it just a little. Do I want that player just yet? Let me take another peek at linebackers. Not that I think linebackers going yet. What do we got on edge rushers? No, do what you wanted to do. Don't talk yourself out of it. I'm going Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota.
All right.
Might not be the popular pick, but it's one that, based on game film and based on his style, I think he fits this team.
I like that. And you know what's crazy? Baltimore is celebrating.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Baltimore is celebrating.
absolutely. And it's not hard to
Uh,
figure why.
well, Rashad Bateman. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, Zay Flowers. Hey, you're going to be a future star in the NFL.
I know where you're going here. I think I do.
He's no Xavier. Is he there? No, he's gone.
No, that's okay.
But is there another guy from Texas still there? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Donnie
I mean,
Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, both off the board.
Adonai's off the board.
No, I just sent Xavier Worthy to the Buffalo Bills.
No, I was saying Adonai Mitchell.
They're both off the board.
Oh, well, damn.
So I don't know where you're going. You're saying Texas. I'm like, nah, he ain't going tight end yet.
Oh, damn it. Now remember, I don't have my whole thing reset too.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, no, I do know where I'm going to go. One of the things that harped them, Lamar Jackson's always running. I remember now where I was going. They need to, if they cannot solidify certain positions, wide receiver, you need to go offensive line with this team. That's where I was going. Tyler Guyton, a guy that could play inside, he could play right tackle. The expectation is hopefully he can move to the left side, but is that going to happen? I don't think so. I think he's a right side kind of guy, but I just think Tyler Guyton makes a lot of sense for this offense. You brought in Derrick Henry. You have Lamar Jackson. You brought in Derrick Henry because you're going to run the ball. So bring in a guy like Tyler Guyton.
Good pick. You threw me for a second there because I was like, wait a minute. They got two tight ends. They got this. They got yeah. I like the pick though, but there was a part of me that thought that maybe you were going to go to Florida State, maybe, and go get
I
another
thought about it.
guy.
I thought about it, but I just don't think there's value in taking a running back in the first round or second round this year.
No, I hear you, and I understand why. We are coming up on the 2-minute mark, and we have 2 picks left. I am taking this one. San Francisco 49ers, Ryan Shed's guys. Sorry, Sheddy, it's late, and I do not completely remember the text that you sent me, but I'm going to do my best to make this make sense. Cooper Beebe is still on the board, as is Jordan Morgan. I'm going Jordan Morgan, out of Arizona. The McKivitz era is over. And that leaves Mike Zappi with the final pick with about 95 seconds to go.
Well, the final pick belongs to a team that has maneuvered their way through the first round. They traded back. They didn't trade back. Arizona, man.
Recap here for the peeps. Tyler Newman, Tyler Guyton, Jordan Morgan. And with the final pick in the longest draft ever.
the longest draft ever.
I feel like we're in the old days where they had like more than 8 rounds.
Honestly, I think it's what was Arizona's first pick again?
Arizona's first pick.
It was Marvin, right? Yeah, it was Marvin Harrison. I hate that I lost my draft board.
Dunze. But yeah, I know it makes
all right, Roma Dunze. Sorry, thank you. Roma Dunze. Based off of value right now, where they're at,
I'm coming over here and I'm gonna jump you on this. Give you the suggestion.
That's who I was. It was Chop Robinson.
You're going Chop Robinson. If it was me,
Yeah.
Keon Coleman. Zappy says Chop.
Well, the Chiefs traded up. Remember that.
Oh shit, we're in Arizona. Jesus, Zappy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was trying. That's why I was trying to put my board back together. I was like, trying to remember. That's why I went Chop Robinson.
You got Chop Robinson going to the
Arizona Cardinals.
That's all right.
Yep.
It's been a long night. We have been at this for multiple hours, kind of doing a redo of show 1 as well. Arizona Cardinals. Chop the Arizona Cardinals. I like it. We got some great players that are still on the board. We're not pre-recording, so StreamYard will give us a couple more minutes, possibly a couple more seconds. Day 3 starter, possibly day 2 guy, Roger Rosengarten, one of the best guys that is under the radar offensive tackles in this thing. Darius Robinson did not go. Good ball player on the offensive side of it. You're going to see guys like Leggett and other skill players go in round 2. We have a lot of good tight ends in this draft. None of them got tapped into yet. Jatavian Sanders, Ben Sinnott, 2 of the best that do that. Zappy, this was a lot of fun. It was a little exhausting towards the end. And the thing that I enjoyed about it, truthfully, is that it made me have to think on the fly constantly. And that's what makes this fun. That we get challenged to have to think about things on the fly and really weigh the options. But when I think what I see this show as a success for is that we were able to really detail a lot of plausible possibilities and really dive into each and every roster in the NFL. And that is not easy to do in a 1-hour setting for each of the 16. Excellent job, Zappy. This was a lot of fun. Until next time, he is Mike Zappy. I am Richie Hicks Jr. Thank you for hanging out ridiculously late for us, watching this. We're going to be tagging the world tomorrow, putting this out early. We're kind of promoting it backwards because of a little blip that we had earlier in the evening. But it's all good, man. If at first you don't succeed, try again, Miss Aaliyah. For Zap, I'm Rich. We are out. Football season is creeping closer, even though we're in the very beginning of baseball and the playoffs for baskets and hockey is going on. But when the NFL draft happens, the schedule releases right after, and then you start planning your tailgates. Actually,
this week is preseason. Schedule release should be next week or in 2 weeks.
Can't wait.